explain more properly. Essentially, we're building now. This isn't a creeper farm anymore. It's going to be a regular mob farm because it turns out better for us building it like that. So yeah, we're back. I cleaned up my inventory. As you can see, I got a few more levels because that's life. I got more tinted glass. I have a bit more back at base, but I don't want to try and bring it all out at once. Now, hey guys, so welcome back. Today we're going to just be discussing some of Night Raiders and the whole server's ideas. So first we're going to be discussing, most importantly, the factions, and I'm going to stick with the factions this time because we're like, yes, let's get on with this. So essentially, factions. So the factions currently, there are 2 to 3-ish factions. The first one being Night Raider. I think this is the one you guys know the best. They're essentially the kind of overpowered oaks who kind of are not there to attack, or there to defend their area. You see, a Night Raider, the only way a Night Raider attacks you is if you've done something to piss them off. They're not allowed to attack you just out of, I want to attack you. No, they're not allowed to. Now, other stuff about this which we need to discuss is that on the server we have decided that we want to get more factions in. So anybody in the comments who wants to, be a part of factions, you guys can put the comments in. Might add you. Depending on your skill, depending on if you get along with certain people, we might add you, just to balance it out better. Now, let's move on to other cool stuff on our server. Now, recently, on the factions, particularly which factions which, so then we have Pierre's faction, which is currently split up into, I think, 2 groups, because Pierre's now a Night Raider, while a Night Raidee, which is basically a Night Raider in training. They are currently here. Mainly, they're basically to learn Night Raider and the consequences of attack and stuff is why we train them. Now, the other faction is Twilight and Hot Dog, which are currently the 2 kind of rising members who are currently really getting their act together, and I'm really proud of them because it's really cool that these guys are working together because it really just helps them. Now, I have to be honest, one thing I am looking forward to doing more and more is kind of doing these different designs with these different factions and stuff. Now let's get on to the next thing, and that being the most important thing, questions from you guys that you guys ask me a lot. So first thing is, how do you get grace period? How does grace period work in detail? I never told anyone this in detail, this also is how it works. So, you earn grace period from respect, also helping people, and also depending on the way you die, you can earn that. Now, depending on how you die, it has to be either unfair death, but now I have to nullify what unfair death is. If you die randomly in the middle at night from a skeleton, that is a fair death. If you die in a chunk error, not fair death. If you die into the end carrying a lot of stuff, and you were, let's say maybe your cat jumped on your keyboard or something, okay, not fair death, you get a reboot. But if you're being reckless, and most of all, depending on how much it's going to cost. Also, you get rewinds, which happens sometimes. We'll get to those now. Depending on the situation, depending on how you died, it very much depends on how you get grace period. Now, when you get grace period, you would be tempted to bank it immediately. Let me tell you that's not very smart. So, a lot of people don't bank them, which is my issue. Banking means you have to keep the grace period. You don't because I'm sorry. You should instead bank it and check if you can get a split coin or a standard coin. Split coins are kind of the better kind of grace period. They're the ones that are really cool because you don't get as much time on the split coin, because one grace period, right, will last about an hour or 2 hours depending on the situation. You get a split coin will be a lot less, like let's say 30 minutes or an hour, depending on how much your grace period was on the token that you got. Now, we don't have an official way to keep track of tokens. I mostly just keep track of it on private servers I have. But you can earn them also through respect and also some things. Now, another thing that will sometimes make it harder for people to get tokens is, let's say, if they constantly ask for peaceful mode, if you don't get them. The reason why is because you're neither hard enough, you need something. Now, moving on from those, let's talk about rewinds and rewinds in general, what happen, why they sometimes happen from different parties. So the first typical rewind you guys probably have seen the most in this week were server rewinds from either villagers or some type of thing being loaded too much, particularly when Matthew jumps through his nether portal sometimes. His portal tends to crash with the server. We still to this day have no fucking clue why. The reason why this is actually kind of irritating is because, you know, fucking irritating. Now, sometimes I do a rewind if, let's say, somebody has such a bad death that they deserve a whole new chance, but the problem is everyone on our server will be upset because they're stuck spinning rewind right now. So that's why we don't really do this anymore. Moving on from that, we're going to be talking about the whole stealing bullshit that we've been doing on the server, because of course this would not be me if I couldn't figure out a fucking way to talk about this. Literally, I tried several recordings of my voice to not talk about this, but I'm doing it, and I'm keeping it because fuck it. Okay, stealing. From now on there will be serious consequences, and also from now on there's going to be a reputation bar that you guys will not reputation, but reputation on the server. If you have a shitty reputation, and if you're caught fibbing, your reputation will go down exponentially. But let's say you don't fib, and you also kind of are not being like, I didn't do it. You know, you just keep lying, like, I don't know. Anyways, the reputation will dictate if you get charged for a crime or not, because, or if you get flat out caught. Well, flat out caught means you're gonna literally, and I am not joking, either get raided by Aiden. If you don't know, Aiden's kind of the big scary wolf on the server. He will raid you to oblivion. He's a little bit like that. He's one not to mess with. Or me. It's typically with me, it will be less of a raid and more of repetitive killing of you for XP. Now let's move on to more and more fun stuff. Now the fun stuff being, on the server, we have to talk about, I hate to talk about this, but the balancing. So future, we're going to try and balance out the teams. That's something. I'm going to be announcing the new teams. Well, the new kind of official teams which we're going to be laying out. It's going to be Pure, Hot Dog, and Twilight. They will be in coalition with Night Raider, but they're not allowed to actually go to Night Raider unless they tell me that they're there. But essentially this coalition is so that people who have trust can go and protect the Night Raider base when Night Raiders are on. This will also give you access to our trading halls and other stuff, but you're only allowed to get this if you have a token, and if you know that token is valid. Now, also, another thing is why did this happen? Why do we have more rules about stealing? Why is stealing becoming an issue? Because somebody stole fucking iron blocks from our beacon. Yeah, iron blocks. And now we replaced it with gold. Not very smart, I know. Stupid, actually. But, here's the thing that we're trying to do. We're trying to stop people from going on Night Raider when they're not supposed to. Because, like, the thing is, you guys think you do sneaky shit, but we know you're doing shit. Because we've had bookings go missing. We've even had, like, people steal iron beacon. Who does that? It's kind of stupid. You know who you are watching this video. You know who you are. Now, moving on from that. The last few things about the server that you guys need to know is that the server is not about stealing. In fact, if you're caught stealing, I am now gonna literally, I'm not joking, I'm gonna ban you for, I don't actually want to tell you how long, because then you guys are gonna be, it's not long. So anyways, moving on from that, we obviously want to make this place, Night Raider, look as good as possible, and we want other people to also work on their bases, make cool bases, improve on their skills, because remember, this server is all about improving your Minecraft skills. You know, because we're trying to make people on the server, you know, feel like they have a place. Once again, it is a realm, and it's the best, but I don't actually have the money to host a proper server because they cost, I don't know how many people, but yeah, it's on the realm currently. I know, for instance, like other people like Silent Whisperer, and I think it's like Truly Bedrock or something, they get like the servers, but I don't know how that works. I'm dyslexic. Now, Night Raider and projects that Night Raider is doing. So we have mainly one project on the server, that being our farms and basically building up our ability to farm resources AFK-like, and also just to improve how our areas looks. Obviously we are going to continue with our wall, but the wall takes a lot of resources and doesn't really produce many as in a return. Yes, it protects us from getting raided. Now, next thing, events that I'm planning on doing on the server. Obviously we have a zombie apocalypse event where basically I'm hoping to increase the spawn of zombies to something stupid. Like ridiculously stupid, but I obviously need to find people who can do that. The next one, which is I'm calling Famine. Famine is going to be cool because basically there will be a hunger effect across everyone for a long time. Obviously, the winner of these events, the progress during an event won't be kept because we have to use cheats and stuff, and we also like giving people a chance to get achievements, you know. But essentially, our plan is to make the server kind of cool for little things. Now, other thing that I do need to actually answer about my server is, why did you choose Bedrock and not Java? Because in my opinion, Bedrock is more accessible. Moving on from that little thing, I need to go back to the other thing, because, yeah. So, other stuff that I really want to tell you guys is that the realm is really important to me. I make sure this place is running beautifully and trying to keep it like looking good. Now, the thing is, when you guys come in and you saw my grief list and you saw my just leave random shit in the middle of nowhere, which serves no purpose, like for instance, at one season, I think this was like last season, we had a ghast farm, but we also had this place where essentially everybody was like speed bridge and stuff. It looked very ugly afterwards. So that's what we're trying to avoid here. Obviously, there's like areas on my out which you're gonna see now. For instance, like this one needs to be up shit. Yeah, anyways, you see the house then, all that. It's not really good view, but yeah, I'm sorry for that. Now, obviously, we're trying to make the area look good. Now, obviously, I'm gonna have to move those white carpets because, my lord, do they irritate me. I'll move them eventually, I promise. I just need to talk to Adrian about, you know, maybe changing them to a different color, or like reducing the area they take up. Because, you know, I could use those for some farms. Moving on from that, we're gonna also decide on the last event that's probably going to be the one happening the soonest, which I'm going to be sorry about once again. It's the famine event. Basically, constant hunger and no regeneration. No natural regeneration, which means you guys will need potions and that, and that's why I really recommend you guys start stockpiling potions and stuff, because Night Raider will not be helping you with this event, because this is to make sure your guys' food farms are up to date and you're having some form of regen. Now, I will give you guys some hints on how to get regen. There's the easiest way, which is golden apples. You just need gold. There's also beacons, but beacons are a little bit, you have to kind of walk there. But there's obviously insta health potions and regen potions, which will work. Now, moving on from that, we're going to also be talking about the last and most important thing in this little bit that I'm doing of the night out, you know, building. So obviously, I'm going to be doing more of these update videos through the realm to kind of give you guys an idea. Now, the most important thing here, I keep saying that, so stupid, is that basically, we're trying to get people to like build nations and build nations that look like and kind of are literal nations and like castles and stuff, like things that are really cool to the environment. Now, the thing is, the better your base looks, the less likely it is to get raided, hopefully. Also, if you guys are regular loggers, you should probably have a really nice looking base so that people see how strong your nation is. Once again, the nations are and the nation's strengths for rewards. So the nation strength reward program that I'm going to be starting, which is going to be pretty cool. Essentially, it's going to be the best developed nations, depending on how well developed they are, and also all of those sort of things. That will kind of depend on that, kind of like what happens. There's also going to be another event that me and Aiden were talking about, but we'll get on that now. So basically, it's the best looking base, the most well built up base, the best, like, it also involves the redstone farms in the area, particularly your redstone farming area, because you guys need to know, you mustn't put your redstone farms right next to your base. I know you get good rates, put them by a whole separate AFK area, because it helps with the realm lag. Also, if you have villages that serve no freaking purpose, get rid of them. They will break the realm further. Anyways, that's been this kind of like video that I've been doing. I hope you guys understand why. It's a bit of a weird video because we're trying to show progress of the mob gunpowder farm, and that's why we made this video. Also, I wanted to kind of find out more things. Also, you guys can give feedback on that, and it's like, you guys can do a lot. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, do all that more and shit. And yo, I hope you guys have a good one. See ya.
Zombie apocalypse.